Hello everyone, I'm Chaos in the Sky, and welcome to yet another anime Villainous how-to video. Today we'll be covering another Piercing the Veil villain, Satella from Re:Zero. So let's get into it. Satella is the Witch of Envy, responsible for a great calamity that struck the world 400 years ago. Sealed away since, she still has influence over the world with her powerful abilities, and for reasons yet unknown, singles out Subaru as her obsession. Wanting to be able to take Subaru for herself, Satella grants him the ability Return by Death, which causes him to go back in time whenever he dies. Using this to ensure that Subaru can't be killed as he faces the dangers of the world, Satella waits and plots for when she can claim him, no matter the dangers she causes. Satella wants to claim Subaru as hers no matter what she must do to accomplish it. In Anime Villainous, this makes her objective to have 3 return tokens on Subaru. Subaru will start as a hero tile in Satella's territory at Roswell Manor, and Subaru's own ability is what will let you place return tokens onto him. So let's look at Subaru's ability first, since it drives Satella's entire gimmick. As mentioned, Subaru starts the game in your territory, and his ability is that when Subaru would be defeated, he gains 1 strength for each other hero in Satella's territory instead. Then, you shuffle all cards in Satella's territory and discard piles into the respective decks and place a return token on Subaru. This is the driving force behind Satella's gameplay. Subaru is a 7 strength hero that you will have to defeat multiple times to place return tokens onto him. Every time you defeat him, your territory essentially resets. All of your allies, any heroes in play, and even your discard piles get put back into their decks and shuffled. The only things you keep when Subaru causes a reset by being defeated are the cards in your hand, Subaru himself, and any schemes you've played that are on other players. Not only that, but whenever you defeat Subaru, if there are any other heroes in your territory, then Subaru gets stronger, making him more difficult to defeat each subsequent time. Because of this, you'll have to make a decision when there are other heroes in your territory. If you defeat Subaru, that will shuffle those heroes back into the Fate deck, clearing up your actions as a result, but it will make Subaru harder to deal with. Conversely, you can dedicate time to clearing heroes out of your territory by defeating them, but the more you spend time and resources on other heroes, the longer it will take you to defeat Subaru and accomplish your objective. You'll have to go through the territory reset 3 times to get 3 return tokens onto Subaru. Once you've defeated him 3 times, you enter Showdown. But you may be wondering, once we're in Showdown, how do we win if Subaru is a hero still in Satella's territory? The answer to that is the only item in Satella's villain deck, I Love You. I Love You attaches to Subaru and gives him -2 strength, meaning it's useful to play even before Showdown. But its major purpose is that it makes it where if you are in Showdown and Subaru would be defeated, you ignore his ability and Subaru himself becomes an item at the bottom of your territory. This means you have to defeat Subaru a final 4th time even after you've gotten 3 return tokens onto him. But on that last defeat, he won't reset your territory, and he'll become an item, meaning you can win Showdown by clearing your territory of any other heroes still about. So that's how you not only complete Satella's objective, but also how you handle Subaru in Showdown to be able to win the game. Defeating Subaru 4 times when he'll reset your territory 3 of those times is not an easy task, but Satella has a myriad of options to help her do it. The first of those mini tools is actually her villain ability, which is that before Satella moves, you may shuffle your hand into your deck to draw 4 cards. This essentially means you can mulligan your hand at the start of each turn, which is very powerful. If you happen to have a bad hand, you can try your luck at drawing into a better one before you move to a location for your turn. Of course, since you shuffle in your hand to do this, you could end up drawing a bunch of the same cards, so it's always got a bit of chance associated with it. Regardless, it's a very powerful ability you'll want to make use of throughout the game, especially given the Subaru resets that will shuffle your discard pile back into your deck. But what you really need to take down Subaru and any other heroes that show up are allies, and Satella has a lot of them. We'll start by looking at Satella's fellow witches, of which there are 6. Our first 3 witches are Typhon, Carmilla, and Minerva. Let's go with Typhon first because her ability is one of the most important. When Typhon is used to defeat a hero, you may either perform another Vanquish action using Typhon, or discard her. This means that Typhon will let you essentially chain Vanquishes, so that you can defeat multiple heroes off of just 1 initial Vanquish. Since Subaru gains strength for every hero in your territory once he's defeated, Typhon is a vital part of Satella's game plan to ensure Subaru doesn't get too strong. A few important things to note about Typhon is that first, you can use other allies during each of Typhon's Vanquishes. This means, for example, if Subaru and a 3-strength hero are at the same location, you can have Typhon defeat the 3-strength hero, then Typhon's ability will let you use Typhon and other allies at her location to then defeat Subaru. Another caveat of Typhon you need to know is that if you use her to defeat Subaru, Subaru's ability will shuffle her and all other cards back into their decks before you can perform another Vanquish with Typhon's own ability. So with that same example I just mentioned, you can't defeat Subaru and then defeat another hero. Subaru will interrupt Typhon. Make sure you use her to vanquish any other heroes you can before targeting Subaru. To make best use of Typhon, you need heroes stacked at one location though, and our next witch can help out with that. Carmilla is an ally that when played lets you move her and a hero at her location to any location. Moving heroes is always a strong ability, but even more so when Carmilla can move them into a stack for Typhon to handle. Witch number 3 is Minerva, who makes it where each time a hero is played, that hero loses 1 strength. However, in exchange, all heroes at Minerva's own location get +1 strength, essentially negating her own ability. This ability is incredibly useful as it means all incoming heroes will be 1 strength weaker, making them that much easier for you to handle. On to the other 3 witches, we have Kidna, Sekhmet, and Daphne. Sekhmet's ability is that each time another ally is played, that ally gains 1 strength. You potentially have a lot of heroes to take down, and Subaru himself is at minimum 7 strength, which requires some strong allies to handle. Sekhmet will go a long way in dealing with that. Kidna likewise is an ally that helps you with strength values. She makes it where the amount of strength that heroes lose from each card is increased by 1, and the amount of strength that allies gain from each card is increased by 1. This combos very well with both Minerva and Sekhmet, essentially doubling the power of their own abilities, not to mention some other cards we'll get to later. The last witch is Daphne, who after being played makes you discard an ally from your territory. Her ability is a negative, but that's because she has an incredible 5 strength, nearly able to defeat Subaru on her own, and that's not even accounting for if Sekhmet boosts her even further. We still have 8 more allies to go through, so let's get moving. Next we have Great Rabbits and White Whale. Great Rabbits are a 0 strength ally, but their ability is that each time an ally is discarded from your territory, Great Rabbits gain 2 strength. If you're using allies to take down other heroes, that will let Great Rabbits rack up strength fast to finish off Subaru. White Whale, meanwhile, has the ability that when it would be discarded from your territory, you may pay 1 power to move them to any location instead. This is one of your best tools outside of Typhon to take down multiple heroes. White Whale lets you spend some power to bounce it from hero to hero until you're in a position to take down Subaru. Roswaal and Elsa are our next 2 allies, and Elsa is very straightforward. When she's played, you lose all your power. So long as you have a low amount of power already, she's cheap to play for the amount of strength that she has, but if you've got a stockpile, she can be a real problem to use. Roswaal also has a negative ability in exchange for high strength and low cost. When he's played, you gain 2 power and draw 3 cards, a huge boon. But then, you have to choose an opponent, and that opponent reveals and plays the top card of your Fate deck. This often leads to a hero showing up, which you never like to see, so you have to decide if 1 more Fate card is worth what Roswaal provides. Next are Regulus and Goose. Regulus is a neat one. He makes it where at the end of your turn, each other ally and non-Subaru hero at his location lose 1 strength. This hurts your own allies as well as heroes, and it can't affect Subaru himself. If you have a hero or 2 at a location with no allies around, Regulus is a great option to handle it. Goose is a weaker ally, but whenever he's discarded from your territory, you may play him to his previous location for free. This pairs great with Daphne and Typhon, and gives you just a smidge more strength for any Vanquish. Do notice that when Subaru resets your board, he doesn't discard anything. He shuffles it into the deck, so Goose will still be affected by Subaru. Finally, we just have 2 allies left, Lai and Melee. Melee is another simple one. She gets +1 strength for each other ally in your territory. Very useful for taking out Subaru, even if he's gotten a few strength tokens from the resets. Lai is another strength booster. After a character is discarded from your territory, if Lai is at their previous location, you choose an ally. That ally then gains 1 strength. This triggers on both allies and heroes being discarded, so Lai essentially helps reward you for taking out other heroes before going for Subaru. We've covered all the allies, but Satella has a few more cards in her villain deck. She has 3 effects: Cowardice, Broken, and Terrible Fate. Terrible Fate lets you choose a location. You may then move all allies at that location to an adjacent location, and you may perform a Vanquish action. With the sheer amount of allies you have, being able to move them en masse will be very useful, and the more Vanquishes you can do as Satella, the better. Cowardice is a bit of a 1-2 punch. It lets you move a hero to any location, which is already great, especially for Typhon, but on top of that, it also makes each non-Subaru hero at that new location lose 1 strength. With Kidna and Minerva both existing, this can weaken down heroes fast. Great news for Satella. Our final effect is Broken, which is very interesting. It lets you either gain 1 power for each return token on Subaru, or you can draw 3 cards. In the early game where Subaru will have no tokens yet, it's basically just for draw, but that can let you get to the allies you need to defeat Subaru very quickly. Then, as you get later on in the game, you can decide if you care more for digging through your deck or gaining some extra power. While we're on the subject of broken, Satella has two forms in her deck that both also interact with return tokens, Witch and Envious. Witch changes Satella's ability to be that she gets +1 strength for each return token on Subaru. This means the further you are in the game, the stronger Witch becomes, letting you consider clashing with heroes to clean up your territory rather than using allies. It's especially useful in Showdown, where at that point it can let you clash any hero. Envious, on the flip side, actually makes Satella weaker, but in exchange, your ability becomes that at the end of your turn, you draw until you have 4 cards in your hand, +1 for each return token on Subaru. This means your hand size essentially increases for every return token, letting you go through your deck that much faster, with even more options becoming available to you. Important to notice about both of these forms is that they have no discard conditions. That's because when Subaru's ability triggers to reshuffle all cards, it will affect your forms, resetting Satella back to her base ability. There's no other way to get back to your original ability once you played a form. You can, however, play Witch or Envious to replace the other. Our last two cards are Satella Schemes, Loathing and Obsession, and they're a little weird. When you play Loathing, you place a return token on a hero in the targeted player's territory. When that return token is no longer in that player's territory, through any means, Loathing is triggered. Once triggered, Satella chooses a non-Subaru hero in her territory, and that hero loses strength until they have 0. This means whatever hero falls prey to it will be easy to clash, or to just defeat in a vanquish, since a 0-strength hero won't have you discard any allies. Obsession similarly has you place a return token when played, but for this one, you place the token on an ally in the targeted player's territory. When that token is no longer in that player's territory, Obsession triggers, just like Loathing. Obsession then lets you play an ally from your hand for free, which is great for saving some power. Both of these schemes will trigger whenever the card you targeted is no longer in your opponent's territory, whether they were discarded, removed, shuffled into a deck, put back into your opponent's hand, or what have you. However, they don't trigger if the card you place the token on changes type. For instance, if you use Obsession to place a token on an opponent's ally, and then that ally somehow becomes a hero, the token is still in play, so your scheme doesn't trigger yet. Very important distinction to realize. It's time for the Fate deck, and first we're going to look at the two strongest heroes, Amelia and Reinhard. Reinhard is the strongest hero at 5 strength, and his ability is that he cannot lose strength, meaning your many hero weakening tools won't affect him. You'll have to throw some strong allies his way, or clash him with a high strength witch. Amelia is a 4-strength hero, and her ability is that Subaru gets +3 strength. This basically makes it where, however strong Subaru already was, you're going to need an extra ally more to defeat him. It's worthwhile to try and take down Amelia first. Next we have two 3-strength heroes, Julius and Krush. Julius, when played, lets the one playing him discard an ally from his location. This gives Satella not only another hero to deal with, but also costs her an ally that she likely sorely needed. Krush's ability is that when she's played, Satella must reveal her hand. Then the one playing Krush can choose any number of cards from her hand to shuffle into Satella's deck, with Satella drawing that many cards afterward. This is a very annoying ability, as it lets Krush take away any strong cards you had ready to go, and you have to hope you get lucky to draw them again. There are two more 3-strength heroes, REM and Ram. Rem's ability is that when she's shuffled from Satella's territory into her Fate deck, Subaru gains 1 strength. This basically means Rem counts twice for Subaru's ability, giving him a total of +2 strength if Rem is in play when you defeat Subaru. She is a high priority hero to take down, which her sister Ram makes more difficult, as her ability is that both Ram and Rem get +1 strength if Rem is in Satella's territory. This puts both of the girls to 4 strength, which is a much harder number for Satella to deal with than 3. When Ram shows up, you'll either want to defeat her or Subaru quickly before Rem can show up. Now we have 3 2-strength heroes to look at, Felix, Frederica, and Garfield. Felix's ability is that once played, you may choose an ally or hero, then remove all strength tokens from them. This can undo any hero weakening you may have done, or undo any ally that you've built up, like Great Rabbits. Frederica's ability is that when played, she lets you swap the location of 2 non-Satella characters. This can put a hero in a worse spot for you, or get some allies away from other heroes you were trying to defeat, like Subaru. Garfield's ability is that all other characters at his location get -1 strength. This does affect other heroes, even Subaru, but odds are that it'll be more of a detriment to you as it lowers all of your allies' strengths. It also lowers Satella's own strength, which may make it where she can't clash, even a weak hero. The last 2 heroes, Otto and Beatrice, are both 1 strength, but of course they have very annoying abilities. When Otto is played, you may move each ally and hero at his location to any locations. If Otto's ability is used, keep in mind that you must move all allies and heroes. You cannot pick and choose. Otto also doesn't say other, which means he has to move as well. There won't be any allies or heroes left at the location he was played to. Beatrice's ability is that when she would be defeated, if there's a location adjacent to her that has no allies, you move Beatrice to that location instead. She's very easy to defeat at only one strength, but unless you hem her in with allies, she'll be annoying to actually take down. That was a lot of heroes, but the Fate deck does have one item and one effect, Puck and Through Heck, which I assure you I'm pronouncing exactly how I want to. Through Heck is simple. It just lets the one playing it move a hero to any location, which does of course include Subaru as an option. Puck is more interesting. He attaches to a hero, which means Subaru should almost always be a candidate to attach him to, and when he's discarded or shuffled from Satella's territory into her Fate deck, Satella loses all of her power and ends her turn. When you defeat Subaru and reset your board, that doesn't mean your turn instantly ends. You can still take any more actions you have, unless Puck is around, and he'll force you to stop immediately. Lastly is the challenge, worth fighting for. This challenge makes it where if Satella is at Subaru's location and he is a hero, Satella cannot perform play a card actions. If this challenge is in play, unless you're in Showdown and have used I Love You to turn Subaru into an item, it stops you from playing any cards at Subaru's location, which can really hurt Satella. You'll also see a similar thing to Satella's Forms here, which is that Worth Fighting For does not have a discard condition. That's because when Subaru is defeated, Worth Fighting For will be shuffled into the Fate deck on the reset. Or it turns off when you make him an item, whichever happens first. There's nothing you can do about this challenge being around, other than making some more progress. And so now you know how to play as Satella in anime Villainous. A crazed witch whose obsession with Subaru drives her to insane plots, you'll go through numerous territory resets as you push Subaru into a corner to make him yours, and yours alone. If you have any questions about Satella, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer. Also look at the description for the playlist to see all the other anime Villainous how-to videos so you can learn about any other characters that interest you. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you again for more anime Villainous videos in the future. Until then, farewell.